Welcome to the Army Empire Podcast, your go-to podcast for insightful tips on investment strategies, entrepreneurship, and all things money matters. Join Bernard Alerte, your guide on this journey to financial freedom. Each episode will dive into expert advice, practical strategies, and inspiring stories to help you take control of your financial future. Whether you're an aspiring entrepreneur or a seasoned investor, we've got something for everyone. So get ready to unlock your financial potential and make your money work for you. And now, let's welcome your host, Bernard Alerte.
All right, let's do this thing, Bernard.
Good evening. How you guys doing?
Good. How are you?
Excited to be here.
Excited for episode 48.
48. We're getting to 50. Excited. So excited.
It's going to be a celebration when you come and join us for episode 50 of the Army Empire Podcast. I will say this, if you have not already joined, you need to subscribe to the YouTube channel. And I'm going to tell you why you need to do that. We need to find out who's going to be our 100th subscriber, because I see there it says 99 subscribers on YouTube. Yay! Isn't that great? Isn't that great? That is amazing that we have that many subscribers on YouTube, 99. So who's going to be our 100? Let's make this happen today. Let's get to over 100 tonight, because we're going to be celebrating our 50th episode, and it's going to be phenomenal. You already know that our financial coach, he brings it every single time. So type in the search bar, Army Empire Podcast on your YouTube, and join us there as well. So what are we talking about today? We're live on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
Yes, excited.
On all platforms.
Yes, absolutely. We're excited. One thing I want to talk about today, and people ask me pretty much is, can you see, our goal is, can you become debt-free and financial independent? That's like the magic question, right? We hear that that's like a class for becoming debt-free and financial independent. And the answer is yes, you can become debt-free and financial independent, but it requires having the right strategy, making the right choice, having the right strategy, and you can become debt-free and financial independent. And we're gonna talk about some debt today. We're gonna shift gears a little bit. We're gonna talk about debt, and I know we've done episodes on debt before, but we're gonna cover different things. Debt, for example, someone has a mortgage, someone has debt. What is the best way to structure it? People, things I've never thought of. A right way to get out of debt sooner. Good strategy you can use to get rid of debt, and so. And we're gonna talk about a little bit about the debt stacking also that everybody talks about. How's that work again? So we're gonna talk about that too.
Yes, well, this is great. This is an awesome topic, because I truly believe that the goal for everyone is really to become debt-free and financially independent. I mean, if you've been watching this podcast, it's because that is the ultimate goal for all of us. All right, so let's hear what we got.
And let's talk about it real quick. And the first thing we want to talk about debt. Debt is we talk about compound interest, right? We want to have a rule of 72, how that works. And let's talk about the bad news about compound. This is compound interest working against you, right? And that's something we talked about before, but think about it. Did you know if you made just a one-time $3,000 credit card purchase, just with 20% interest rate, with no new purchases, and made the minimum payments, it would take at least 10 and a half years to pay off, and you would end up paying more than $2,350 in interest charges. Okay, so a $3,000 credit card purchase you end up costing you $53,50, right? Which is scary over a period of time, and this happens time and time. A lot of people have debt. One of the things that we're gonna talk a lot about today, right? There's different questions that people ask when it comes to debt, mortgage, and things like that, right? The question asked is two major questions: is what is my interest rate and what is my payment?
Yes,
that's the question everyone asks. What is my interest rate? What is my payment? Everybody, what is my payment? People never ask the other two questions, right? Is what is going to be my total cost, and when will I be out of debt?
correct.
people ask the wrong question. What is my interest rate? What is my, when they should be asking, what is my total cost? And when will I be out of debt? Right? So we're gonna talk a lot about that. We're gonna get people focusing on that, is focus on total cost and become debt free as soon as possible. Okay? Not just interest rate and payment. Okay. And let's take a look at it real quick, right? There's two. First of all, we have to understand there's two kinds of debts out there, right? There's revolving debt and there's fixed debt, right? And they're different, right? For example, look at what's revolving debt. Revolving debt is like credit card debt. That's revolving debt, right? Payday loan, that's revolving debt. When you borrow money from your cash value policy, life insurance policy, that's revolving debt. Revolving debt means is it just never goes away, and the way interest is calculated, certain way, very little of it is going towards the principal, and more of it going towards the interest. The way it's right. So let's take a look at it. Right, same exact amounts, right? Same exact interest rate. Check this out. If you have revolving debt, right? Like if you have a $17,000 revolving debt, right, at 18% interest, if you pay $595 a month for it, right, you would end up paying $12,500 in interest paid, and it'll be take you 17 years and 2 months to pay it off.
Yeah.
Right. Versus a fixed debt, which is let's say, what's a fixed debt? Mortgage debt is fixed debt. Student loans, fixed debt. Debt consolidation. Sometimes refinancing is a fixed debt, right? A car loan is a fixed debt, right? Because it's a specific time, it's a specific amount, specific payment, and a specific time when you be done paying it off, right? So let's look at fixed debt. $17,000, right? Same $17,000 at same interest rate, 18%, and same payment, $595. That person will be debt in 3 years and 2 months, and only cost them $5,370 in interest payment. Big difference, right? Huge difference. So the moral to the story is you have to find a way to get out of revolving debt as much as possible. You have to find every tool, because it's robbing you of your future, and you end up paying so much more money. Okay, so that's what we're going to talk about. How do I get out of revolving debt and get more into fixed debt in the process, right? So let's take a look at it real quick. This is actually a client, right? And this actually, like a lot of people, right? This is a page called, we do some called, whenever we sit down with a client, right, Liz, we do some called like a financial needs analysis for them, which is a roadmap. What it does, it looks at everything. It looks at, for example, looks at how much income they're making, right? Is a very in-depth document, right? How much income they're making, how much they're paying taxes, right? It looks at all their debt situation. It looks at everything. It looks like, for example, how much, it looks at their retirement issue, debt issue, expense. It looks at a whole financial picture in a snapshot and tells them how to improve it. And one of the aspect of it is the debt part, right? Here's what it does. It takes, for example, or if you tally all your debts, right? The debts, the balance on the debts, right? How much interest you're paying on the debts, right? And how much you're paying for the debt. It will tell you when you'll be done paying off these debts, right? And how much interest it will cost you, right? See, everyone focuses on what's the payment, but they never ask, when will that projected payoff date, right? When will I be done paying it off, and how much is this going to cost me, right? So this is, we're not going to ever know this. Someone has target. If you look at the first column, looks at the balance, right? This is the balance. I want you to picture the total amount. The total amount of debt they have is $316,000, right? You look at total debt. If you look at the average interest rate, it's about 7.26. People say, well, that's pretty good, right? This is how much they're paying. They're paying $3,632 to pay off all these different debts, right? And if you look at pay everything off, the date will be 2050. Okay. So based on that, they will pay a total of 2050. They'll be paying off all these debts based on how they're paying it. And that's saying if you add no additional debt.
Correct.
So they'd be debt-free in 2050, right? Now, if you look at how much interest they would pay in the process, is $252,000. Now, they owe 316, and they're gonna pay an extra $252,000 on top of that.
Wow.
Right? Now, what is the best way to look at it? So let's look at the solution. Now, the best thing is, the good thing about this person, they have a mortgage, they have a home. So how do we use your mortgage, your home, as a way to not only get out of debt and become financial independent, right? So let's take a look at this scenario. So guess what? This client is 34 years old. If you look at the current situation, now their home is worth about $420,000, right? Now, whenever someone debt consolidation loan, most banks, right, most institutions, you can only borrow up to 80% of it, right? Of 80% loan to value. That means if a house is worth $100,000, you can't borrow more than $80,000 total of that that amount, right? And for example, and if you add them out, some have a little higher than that, but it costs a little bit more, right? But usually it's 80% is the standard. The standard usually that you can borrow equity in your home, right? Now, if you look at total debt they had was $316,000, right? And they were paying about $3,633 to pay off.
That's correct.
To pay off all these debts like we talked about. So while we try to do, listen, let's find a way to refinance all that debt, right? Let's just put it, instead of having 10, 15 different payments they have, let's bring it down and have it one payment. Let's have one payment instead. And guess what we did? If you look at the new situation, right, we were able to consolidate everything for that person, right? And now it's about $328,000, okay, total. And they'll pay 5.5% interest, right? That total. And now, guess what happened to that payment? It went from $36.33 to $18.62, right? So guess what they did? They saved a lot of money, right? Now they're paying $36.33. Now they're paying $18.62 after the whole consolidation. And now, so they saved about $1,771, which is great. Now, this is the problem that's happening out there. Okay, Liz. A lot of people, you can go to a mortgage broker, right? And they'll consolidate everything for that person, right? And we'll give you home. They might give you home equity, right? Or consolidate the debt, or they might put everything together, right? And guess what happens to most people? Yes, they save a whole bunch of money. They saved that $1,771, but guess what they did? They say, okay, you're excited. I saved $1,700. Guess what happened? They looked at it as $1,700 for them to spend.
Right.
And what most people do, they'll take the money, right? Say, oh my gosh, I have $1,700. Great, I can spend. They never use that. How do I use that effectively to help me become financial independent, to help me become debt-free and financial independent? And this is why you gotta have an advisor, someone that's gonna help you. You can't deal with a mortgage broker because they'll show you how to reduce that, but that's it. But what happens to most people when they have a lack of a strategy, they get back into the same cycle again because they don't have a good strategy. You gotta have. So now, how do we make the best use of the 1771? Here's what we're gonna do. This is what I would do if I don't do mortgage. I'm not a mortgage broker, but what I would do with that family, say, listen, this is what we're gonna do, Mr. and Mrs. Client. Let's use that 1770. You were paying all these people anyway. Instead of paying them, why don't you pay yourself the same money? So guess what? We saved you $1,771. Guess what we're gonna do? Let's get you in a game plan, become debt free. Wow. Let's take $800 of that 77 we saved you. Let's add it back to the principal of the mortgage. Right? So guess what? By taking $800 a month added to the principal of the mortgage, you be totally debt free. You pay the mortgage in 16 years.
So good, Bernard. This is crazy.
16 years. Let's get you in then 16 years in the process, right? Now we found out also that family didn't have any life insurance. Like, man, they have so much debt, I can't afford it. Guess what we're gonna do? Let's take $125 a month and make sure you have $500,000, $1 million for the couple. Right amount of life insurance to protect if something happens, God forbid, that the family be taken care of.
Yes.
That's one aspect. Now, guess what we're able to do? There's $846 left. Let's invest it. Let's invest it in a mutual fund. And guess what? In 16 years, the same 16 years, you will have 9%, which is very conservative. You would have $361,000 in 16 years.
That's amazing. These three things, three important, like literally, this is paramount. Like this is something that you absolutely need. These three items, you're paying towards the mortgage so that the principal comes down and you finish paying it off quicker. You add the life insurance and you also invest.
Yes, exactly.
Wow.
So you're using a way for you to be able to get to get rid of everything, right? Now let's take a look at it.
We have a comment. We have a comment on Instagram. This is absolutely amazing. I wish I had this advice 30 years ago. I mean,
exactly.
Seriously, this is why it's so important to have a financial advisor.
This is why most people end up refinancing 2-3 times with their home, right? Which is not good, right? So now let's take a look at the next slide. What do we? Let's summarize it, right? Guess what we did? Now with that plan, that person 16 years after debt consolidation, now the client's 50 years old. They are 50 years old, right? And guess what happens? Their house is totally paid off. Their house is totally paid off, right? The couple, they have $500,000 life insurance. They have $361,000 invested. But guess what happens? They can go even further. Let's go all out, right? Now, they have $1,862 they were paying off the debt, the mortgage, right, initially. So say, listen, I was paying the mortgage anyway. I don't need to buy another house, right? Let me take that money, invest that money, plus the $800 that we're adding towards the principal of the mortgage, right? Plus the $846 they're already invested already. Now they have $3,500 they're investing for themselves.
Yes.
Right? So they already have $361,000 accumulated. They take the $3,508 invested at a 9%, right? For 15 more years, not at 65, they have put $2.7 million.
Crazy at age 65,
$2.7 million. And this is not someone that was not making a whole lot of money. Think about it, right? You don't need to be making $200,000, $300,000, $500,000 a year to have $2.7 million. This is a family, 34 average family, right? With the right strategy.
That's the key right there. The right strategy.
You have to have someone that's gonna guide you. Look at your whole file. See what happens. Most people they deal with mortgage broker here. They have their money spread out over the place. They deal with 5, 6, 7 different people. They're paying one company the mortgage, one company debt, one company the advisor, one company insurance. They have 5, 6 different people that are taking money out of your pocket, and they don't have a game plan to put money back in. They don't have a good strategy for you to say, how do we use everything that you're doing that's coming out of your pocket? How do we make it use in a more effective way so we can help you get to where you need to, which is become debt-free and financially independent, right? Versus paying existing debt until 65 without no savings and investments and no life insurance. Right? Big difference, right? So this is how we use. This is because a lot of people are concerned, how do I use? You need to sit down with someone that's licensed in these areas to be able to give you a good strategy, right? In other words, right? Which is very important. Now, people say, that sounds good, Bernard, but I don't have, number one, they might say, I don't have a mortgage. How's that work? Number two, I may not qualify for this. I don't have enough equity. I don't have this and that. So now you can still do it, but you have to use a different strategy called the debt stacking strategy, right? So let's take a look at it. The same person, right? If you look at this is what they have. They have retail card 212. You see the debts right now. They're paying, let's say they're paying $220 a month for the retail card one, plan A, right? $353 a month for credit card, call on 551, 303, right? And they may have a mortgage $1,293, right? So guess what happens? That the way they were paying it, they'll be totally debt free in 23 years at 58 and pay $214,000 in interest. But we use something called a debt stacking. How does that work? Here's what most of us do. If you think about it, here's what a lot of people do. Let's say a credit card, you look at, they ask you for a minimum payment, right? A lot of people say they have 4 or 5 credit cards, right? And sometimes they ask you the $50 minimum pay. What most people do, they pay 20. Instead of paying 50, it might pay 75. It might be 100. It might be a little extra. So they have a couple. They add a little bit here and there, right, to pay off. And guess what happens? In their mind, if I'm paying extra more than a minimum, I should get out there faster. Yes, right? That would make sense. But guess what happens? And they never see the balance go down. Never going down. So a different strategy called it debt stacking. Guess what happens? This is you attack one debt at a time. What do? So let's say you have all the extra that you're paying. Instead of paying 4 or 5 different people, let's attack one at a time, right?
Yes.
And usually when we do analysis for that person, it's the debt that has the highest interest and the lowest balance, right? Because guess what happens? You wanna have some little wins before you get the big wins.
Okay.
Makes sense? You want to have some little wins. So guess what happens? The person on retail card 1, if you look at the second column, now they're done paying the retail 1. They were paying $353 for credit card 2. Now they're gonna take the 220 from retail card 1. They add to the other credit card. Now they're paying $573. Right? And they keep paying the other ones the same way they always paying, right? And they'll knock that off. And eventually, guess what happens? They're done paying that off. Then they'll take the $573 total. They add it to the car loan. So instead of paying $551, now they're paying $1124. If you look at the third column, right? Now they'll be done paying that off. Now after they're done paying that off, they take the $1124, add it to, let's say, the other credit card, which is $303. So now they're paying $1427. And they'll pay that off also. Now, when they're done paying that off, they can add it to what? The 14, add it to their mortgage, add to the principal of the mortgage. And guess what happens? Now they're done paying that off, right? $2720. And guess what happens? By using a debt stack, if you look at plan B, we talked about, they'll be debt-free in 9 years. They'll be debt-free in 9 years. Now the person's 44 years old, for example, right? Now that's 14 years sooner. Then they'll save about $130,000 in interest. Right? Now, if they continue the same way, they can continue 2720, invest at 9%, because they were paying the debts anyway. So let's invest it back to themselves in their own plan, right? Now they'd be totally debt-free. They would have $2.4 million at retirement at 67. Which is very, very powerful. So either way, you can get out of that either way. Someone falls in one of those categories. Either you can use the debt consolidation. If you have a mortgage, use that. The home equity able to use that, but you have to use it effectively. See, one thing, my mindset, you do not want to play Russian roulette, like use your home as a credit credit card, or use your home as a cash, like a bank. It's a very important asset, and you have to use it the right way, an effective way for you to become financial. It's a great asset to have, but you have to use the right way to get rid of debt, right? But you need to have the right strategy to help you do that, because if you don't, you're gonna end up same thing, recycle over and over again. You're gonna save some money, get back again, save some money, get back again. Okay.
Yeah. So either the home or the debt stacking.
Absolutely. So, and you can use either way. But either way, the mindset is, I was paying the money anyway to all these people. Let me pay myself after I'm done. That's one thing people miss. You're fine paying credit card, Visa, MasterCard, American Express, car loan. You're okay doing that. Why don't you want to pay yourself instead of just having that money sitting there, spending the money? Invest that money back in yourself. Put that money back in your retirement, but invest that money for yourself, and so you can have compound interest working for you instead of against you in the process, right? And the next slide also, this is another way, just to end the last slide. There's such power in home ownership, but you have to use it. And there's ways you can pay off your mortgage faster, right? Like if someone has a $250,000 balance, right? One thing that's saying, people don't realize that you can actually pay your mortgage bi-weekly. People don't realize they can do that. So let's say if someone's paying $2,000 a month for their mortgage for principal interest, they can take $1,000 the first, $1,000 on the 15th, instead of paying one time, $1,000 the first and $1,000 the 15th, right? And they can actually pay that off instead of paying one payment. Guess what happens in the process? They're saving money and interest, right? Not only are they making an extra payment, but what happens? When the interest is calculated, you're saving money that way also, because they're receiving 2 payments at the same month. Okay.
Mm,
So you're saving
mm.
interest in the cycle also. So by doing that, on average, you can knock off the mortgage in 5 years, 6 years sooner, right?
Wow.
If you can add an extra $50 to each payment, right? If you could do that, guess what happens? You can knock off the mortgage in 21 years, right? It's very, very simple to do that.
Yep. Dropping
So
some gold nuggets.
there's a lot
Dropping
of
gold
strategies
nuggets.
out there to get out of debt, and you can get out of debt, but you gotta have the right strategy. You gotta have someone that's gonna look at everything for you, and not just
Mhm.
the challenge I see happen. Because well, I got this mortgage, and they do it, and it might get you out of debt, but they don't give you strategy.
Right.
You gotta have someone. You have to have an advisor gonna show you. Listen, what can I do with the savings? How do I use it effectively? I can pay off right and be able to structure it the right way so you can actually get out of debt sooner and become financially independent.
Yeah.
Absolutely, 100%. All right.
The
So
email is below if anybody wants to contact Bernard and have a conversation with him. This is so important. I mean, just like we have here the comments, this is so good and so informative. And on Instagram, this is so powerful. We know what we're receiving. We're receiving truth. We're receiving, moments where we're able to say, okay, we're doing this self-evaluation as Bernard is speaking to us. Okay, this is what my debts look like. Can I do this debt stacking? How do I start implementing this right away? This is great stuff. So send an email to Bernard. His email is
absolutely,
scrolling below.
absolutely, definitely. I want again just to reemphasize what we talked about earlier. Instead of always asking what is my interest rate and what is my payment,
Yes.
focus on is when will I be totally debt free, and how much is this gonna cost me?
Yes. So the total cost and the length. So
When
that's
will
what
I
we need
be
to ask.
when will I be debt free? And you
Yeah.
gotta ask that in everything that you do.
Mhm.
Even sometimes when you buy a car. What are most that's I want the lowest payment. I want to have the lowest payment I can do. Awesome. I'll give you the lowest payment. No problem.
But
But what we're gonna do,
forever.
that $30,000 car is gonna run you about 55, that cost you 55 grand, and what we're gonna spread out for 7-8 years.
Mhm. Mhm.
What is
Very
people
true.
ask people are trapped into asking, what is my interest rate and what is my payment? And the institutions know that. So they're selling you on interest rates and selling you on what? Payment, when they should be asking, what is my total cost and when will I be debt free? Because
So good.
ultimately, that's the math that matters, is how much is coming out of my pocket.
Mhm.
And when can I get rid of this?
Mhm. So good. We're
So
talking
it's
all things how to become debt free and financially independent, my friends. This is what we got talking today in this topic with Bernard. This was really good.
yes. I mean, thank you. I mean, people have been calling like, how does that work? That stack can work. I'm hearing so many people that question about refinance. I'm like, I gotta go over this because there's something that some people are missing, they're not taking advantage of, and that can make a big difference in their financial future.
Yeah. And you do hear people who refinance and they're like, oh my God, I got a whole load of money.
Mm-hmm.
But there needs to be something strategically done with that money. So that way you can see it later when you really need
Yes.
it.
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
Wow. That's so good. Guys, this was another great episode 48. And we'll see you guys next week, the same exact place, same time, same channel. Don't forget to subscribe to the YouTube channel, the Army Empire Podcast. Join us there. Thank you for those who are watching on Instagram, those who are on Facebook and YouTube. This is great. There's more informative, educational information ahead for us here at the Army Empire Podcast. Any last words?
Just excited. Just thanks so much for all the viewers, people that have been supporting, and pray you get a lot of value out of it. And if you have any questions, just send me email and we'll get together and we'll customize something for you too if you want to.
Love it. Love
Awesome.
it. Love it. All right, Bernard. Have a good one. Thank you guys so much for watching. We'll see you next week.
Take care now. Bye-bye.
Thanks for tuning in to the Army Empire Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe and share it with your friends. Join us next week for another exciting edition, and until then, keep building your empire.